Guy hits on my wife, gets political and tries to take my players. So I was ming at my house. They were my friends since early college. One of them wanted to invite another friend over because he needs a buddy right now. I relent, thinking it's because he's depressed or something. I was wrong. So the only important people you really need to know are Buddy and my wife girlfriend at the time. So Buddy gets there after all of the rest of us and notices me and my girlfriend cuddling on the couch watching TV until everyone shows up. He proceeds to hit on my girlfriend relentlessly until the rest told him to knock it off. I decide to let it go because he stopped and I'm willing to give this guy the benefit of the doubt. So we start getting character sheets set up. This is session 0 and it's Pathfinder. So it's taking a while when someone makes a joke about the election. It was obviously just a joke and it was about this taking forever. Buddy took it a bit personally and started stating his political views loudly and aggressively. We ask him to stop kindly and he refuses, getting louder. So I tell him that if he can't control himself, I will ask him to leave. He has already caused enough discomfort. That is when he loses it, claiming I'm treading all over his rights of free speech and stomping around the house. I tell him flatly to get out of my house. He then looks at all my friends and says that they should come over to his place for game night instead. They all refuse because I'm obviously the one who planned this. So he storms out. I thought that was the last of it, but I was wrong. After he left, I was told why he needed a buddy. Apparently he was a repeat offender of child porn and was going to jail 4 years soon. My friend wanted me to bring a sexual predator into my home. Needless to say, that friend is no longer a friend and Buddy is still in jail as far as I know. DM should have probably checked my attacks. So we had an encounter with 4 very powerful bandits in the middle of the woods. One downed me after I took him to bloodied with a bunch of monk attacks. So the man yanked the sword from my character. When I lucked out on saving throws and got up, he replied, "Aha, you can't do anything now. I have your weapon." My sword did 1d8 plus 4. My unarmed strikes are 1d8 plus 4. The sword was just sentimental to the character. So I went. The monk got visibly upset. Possibly the most upset the group has seen, from the small monk pivoting his tiny legs into a defensive position. He takes a martial arts stance. I'd like to use flurry of blows and I'll start with stunning strike with each attack until it succeeds. Enemy fails a saving throw. Enemy is stunned and all attacks against him gained advantage. All the hits that failed were met with me using my lucky feats to roll a success. I've never seen a DM gasp in disbelief so hard in my life. Turns out there was supposed to be reinforcement in a few turns. Except they didn't, because my monk attacks annihilated and stunned their leader. The DM pulled us into a meeting after the session was over. "Hey, I might not be able to play next week." That was the bad guy that was going to be a major part of the next 5 sessions. He was supposed to show up and show off how powerful he was in a brutal battle with the group and escape. He wasn't expecting immediate step of the wind use in move 1, flurry of blows, and stunning strikes to change that. The campaign group was quietly dissolved. We stayed friends and still laugh about it sometimes. 4 hours of DM planning ruined in an instant. Prior to this campaign, I had never even touched D&D. Since it was my first time, my friend and experienced DM helped me create my character. While creating my character, I noticed a field in the character creator that basically allowed me to list items that I would have on my person before even starting the campaign. Now, I know how that could be used for story purposes, but I just sat there trying to think of something funny that I could use that for instead. I eventually asked my DM friend if I could have a 55-gallon drum of lube on my person, and if it could be hidden to be used at a random time for comedic effect. He said yes. About 3 sessions into the campaign, and my entire party decides to travel down a hole in a well, leading to an underground dungeon. We are still standing under the hole that we climbed down when we all feel a rumbling and realize that there is a myriad of little burrowing creatures digging their way to us through the walls. Eventually they surround us, and we have zero clue what to do. I'm talking thousands of these little pinchy, crawly things all around us. Then, it got real. Our DM sets a timer for 1 minute and 30 seconds for us to make a decision, after which the creatures would basically be at our feet. With seconds left, I suddenly had a brilliant idea. I explained to my party about the secret item. And they all likely laugh, but don't understand why I chose to bring it up at that time. The thing is, lube, specifically oil-based lube, is flammable. I specify that, and they quickly understand, and we basically go fire in the hole and escape back up the well shaft, leaving the lube barrel uncapped. Once everyone is up, we throw a match down, causing the whole place to go boom. We all share a good laugh before we see that our DM is a bit salty. He then tells us that he had stayed up for hours the previous night, and that he even had designed a custom map, complete with traps, bosses, etc. He was a bit sore, but laughs about it right with the rest of the group now. Gaslighted into thinking DM disappeared. I roll. Long. Point of order, I can only tell you what happened, the conclusion I came to, and the evidence to support it. This 100% happened as I remember it. A Reddit post in LFG was asking for players for a homebrew 5e setting. Very steampunk, flying City of Gears style kind of story. We get chosen after talking online via Discord privately with the DM, and then we meet the other members of the newly formed group. Everyone seems chill and excited to play. The DM goes into his history of Ming, how he lives in Japan, and how he is Ming other games along with ours. Important for later. We get in gear, first session right into the heart of the story. We are all playing, fighting guards, music is playing on a bot. It was awesome. A poster child for how a game should start and feel, or so we thought. The week goes by, and we begin to pile in for session 2. All the players are in the Discord ready to go, and now we are just waiting for the DM, who was active, and had messaged in the general chat an hour ago. He doesn't show. We wait awkwardly for 45 minutes waiting, trying to private message him, message his Reddit, nothing. We say maybe something happened, I hope he is okay, and agree to meet again next week, and wait in the meantime to see if he messages in the group. The week goes by silently. It is the day before game day. Radio silence. A new person joins the Discord. It is Guy. Made up name. Guy says he is from the DM's other game, and asks us if we have heard from him. The DM also missed their game, and hasn't messaged anyone 0.0. At this point, we are all like, WTF? Where is he? What is going on? We barely know each other, so when game day comes, and goes without him, we all awkwardly say goodbye after one session. As I hover my mouse over the leave Discord server button, I have a thought. How did Guy get into the server? No one knew him. He was a stranger who, according to him, knew the DM. The server was for our game alone, made by the DM, and only he invited us. Who invited Guy? Did the DM fabricate this plan? This plan to end the recently started game by faking his disappearance and create a fake account under the name Guy to sell the story. Was our session 1 so bad collectively that he activated some Omega level last resort to avoid an awkward conversation? If this ending is disappointing to you, I agree. I still don't know. I stayed in the server for another month, sending messages to both accounts, and got nothing back. It is the single weirdest experience in my life as a D&D player. All NPCs hate my character. So it started with an NPC one that EM introduced, and it was clear that my character and the NPC had a history with them of some sort. A couple of sessions we kinda danced around each other but nothing ever came of it, and my character had also made it clear that no feelings etc would be involved. My character did however hit it off with another PC. Before something came of it, the DM let my character know that he was supposed to be married in an arranged marriage soon. My character then broke things off with the other PC before it really started, because he didn't see any way of it working out. He is very much used to doing what his family wants at all times. Now every NPC the party meets is super rude to my character, even if they don't really have any reason to. If I try to solve situations my ideas never work. The NPC one is constantly there and apparently tells everyone how horrible my character is. Though technically they are supposed to be friends, and honestly the last 2 sessions were pretty crappy. In one of the sessions I literally didn't even get to do anything but just got her. I'll tell you after the session what happened with your character. I only got that info after asking for an inform of a VM, and got 0 say in it, and it also didn't really do anything. I'm pretty bummed out about it, since the campaign has been running for a while, and it was super fun at first. Now I'm honestly thinking about dropping it. I feel like at best my character is there to make a fool out of himself. If anything is unclear or written in a weird way, sorry, English is not my native language. My friend is getting bullied through his game. My friend doesn't have Reddit, so I'm posting on his behalf. I DM for him, but the group in question is from another game that he's in. Keep in mind, this group is online and with fellow adults. He's basically told me that over the course of this game, he has had 4 characters die. They've only played around 10 sessions. 2 of the deaths have been at the hands of other players. One was during PvP, the other as the players basically threw his character off a cliff, with no saving throw required by the DM. The DM has targeted him every session. His DM has had every enemy in combat focus specifically on this character, refused to let his character roll saving throws, said that he failed saving throws the other players passed, even though he got higher rolls than them, plus his DM rolls their death saves. And my friend's character almost always get all fails or a nat 1 every time. Every time he dies, or his character gets hurt, the entire group, including the DM, finds it incredibly funny. When the other players aren't killing him, they are messing with his character in other ways, like trying to take their things, making NPCs attack the character, or beating up the character. He's told the DM that he feels like he's being targeted, and the DM basically told him to grow up cause it's funny. My friend is also autistic and isn't always great at picking up on cues. He wasn't totally oblivious, he just thought he was overreacting. Since one time, after they killed his character, he got upset and left, and everyone in the group told him he was being dramatic and to grow up. I think they were basically gaslighting him into thinking that he was being the childish one when they're the ones acting like middle school bullies. Really, their behavior is exactly like bullies messing with someone, saying it's just a joke, and then finding it funny whenever the subject of their torment gets upset. The group we are in together all told him to block them and not to play with them and to distance himself from them. But he's a bit nervous about the prospect. He knows he has to. He just doesn't like confrontation. I feel really bad, since he's a really nice guy, super funny, and an awesome player. I genuinely think this group had it out for him because he sometimes struggles with social cues and obviously refused to make accommodations for him at the table. I think because of this, they just thought he was weird and a good target for their power trip. Right now I really want to help support him in dumping these guys and giving him an actual good supportive group to play with. Edit, fix grammar and formatting, and added more details, so I won't have to keep going back and adding details as he gives me more information about this group. 3 hours of wasted time just to find out I can't play a black PC. So I hopped on Roll20 LFG and found a game. Applied through an annoying questionnaire and a whole screening process via Discord voice chat. Was accepted. Set out a time and date with the DM to do character creation. Since it was homebrewed and tedious, go through the whole character creation process for 3 hours with the DM. And then we got to the PC token picture. He sent me a list of young British celebrities on IMDb, so I picked one off there, John Boyega. I cut the background out and sent him the image. Instantly I heard a groan. He then went on to explain how in his homebrew fantasy world, there was only white people in the city the game takes place in. He then said some bullshit about realism to try and justify it. I accepted the wasted time and just dipped. I truly can't understand why you would make an entire homebrew world just to segregate people in it. Quick little update. Last night on the LFG post I left a comment saying something like maybe you should let players know they can't play non-white player characters. DM obsessed with strength. Quick disclaimer, I originally removed this story after it started blowing up because my DM knew my Reddit account. I didn't want him discovering this post, but I no longer play with him, so here it is. This is one of the more bizarre stories. So I joined a Bronze Age 5e campaign that the DM described as realistic and combative. No problem there. He also said that he had made some changes to classes and rules, which included greet axes and greet swords did 2d12 damage. Hit points were calculated by adding Archon and SDR modifier. Long bows, short bows, and slings used strength instead of dexterity. Only athletics checks were used to escape grapple, jump across gaps, and climb uneven surfaces. He didn't let me use acrobatics. We routinely had to make athletics checks during long marches to avoid exhaustion from muscle soreness. Rage was replenished on a short rest. The entire party was composed of barbarians and fighters. Me, being the idiot that I am, decided to balance out the party by deciding to play wizard. Big mistake. Even with a 13 in strength, the party had to constantly carry me on their shoulders when I got too exhausted from soreness or when I was unable to climb up a wall. My damage output didn't even stand a chance against the raging barbarian with great weapon master. I had to drop 3rd level spells just to keep up. My hit points, although low compared to a barbarian, were even lower because everyone except me had 80-90 hit points at level 5, whereas I was stuck with a measly 35. This led to completely unbalanced encounters where one hit from the monster could insta kill me. I did end up switching characters to a strength paladin, but I left after the DM took away my powers after I refused to butcher the heretics of my religion. Overall, I'd say it was a good game, but the DM was really obsessed with strength and barbarians for some reason. I miss the grittiness of his games, but I don't miss the boneheaded rulings. Edit. I should also mention that the DM is a bodybuilder and always talked about gym stuff with some of the other players before sessions. Maybe that had something to do with it.